Good morning. Thank you all for joining us this morning and taking some time to talk through the partnership agreement. Hopefully you all received it last week, and we'll be walking through the agreement and talking more about it in detail. As Katie mentioned, feel free to write your questions in the question box or contact your account specialist directly if you have additional questions that we don't cover today. To get us started, I just wanted to walk through what our agenda is going to be like for this webinar. We'll first focus on a recap of why we have a partnership agreement, how we got through the process to here, and then also review the final document that you should all have in front of you, hopefully. We'll talk through the renewal process and timeline, and then also talk about support that we can provide to help you meet the agreement expectations. So why would we have a partnership agreement, and why do we need one? We've found this very valuable on our side as a check-in to make sure that we have the correct information on your agency and programs. Second Harvest Heartland actually hasn't done a renewal of our partnership agreement since 2007, and so it's been quite a while, and this is giving us some good current information to make sure that we have the correct information on your program and your agency. The other valuable part of the partnership agreement is to develop clear expectations for each of us to work under. This is really helping to establish minimum expectations for how we do our work together. Many of you have these expectations in place already and are going above and beyond them. For those of you where these expectations might be new, we want to support you through this process so that hopefully there won't be any concerns about compliance or meeting them going forward. Finally, definitely the partnership agreement is an opportunity to deepen our work together to make sure that we're closer to reciprocal partnership in this work of ending hunger. And a new portion of this partnership agreement this time around is that you have a commitment from Second Harvest Heartland of what you can expect of us. So how did we get to this place of the renewal? And really it started almost a year ago when we did 9 listening sessions across the Second Harvest Heartland service area in June and July. Many of you might have participated in these listening sessions. Over 150 individuals attended, representing about 1/3 of our partner agencies. Along with getting feedback from all of you, we also had meetings with different internal Second Harvest Heartland departments that touch you and talk through the partnership agreement with them as well. So if you think of all of the different people that you interact with from Second Harvest, whether it be drivers that are delivering your food, or individuals in agency shopping, the pickers who are picking your orders, food rescue staff that are working with your food rescue relationships, we wanted to make sure that they were involved in this process as well. And so, through many drafts, we got to the final draft that we'll be looking at now, and we wanted to very much thank you for all of your feedback and the very critical questions that you all asked and suggestions that you made to the partnership agreement. As I mentioned earlier, this is a renewal, and as the document states, it's only good through October of 2016. And so we'll be going through this process again, although hopefully a little shorter, but we'll be looking for your feedback again as we move into that renewal process in 2016. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the partnership agreement. Hopefully you have your partnership agreement in front of you, or the final version for reference. And we're just going to talk through each section of the partnership agreement. I've chosen to highlight some of the areas that are either new or we've had clarifications or updates. And when we're not going through all of it, if you do have questions that aren't talked through in this webinar, please reach out to our staff. So the first part of the partnership agreement is the top of the first page, and it just highlights your partner agency and program information. This is something that should be filled out when you got the partnership agreement, and this allows us to ensure that we have the correct information on file on our end. So we'd like you to review that information at the top, ensure that the agency name is either the 501c3 organization that you are connected with or a church, and also review the partner program information. That's where you'll see the program number that you might be more familiar with from ordering, as well as your program name and a program type, which is a category that we use internally at Second Harvest. If you see items in this area that need to be updated, there are two options of how you can proceed. You can either contact your Second Harvest Heartland account specialist directly and ask for those changes to be made and a partner agreement to be resent out to you with those updates. Otherwise, you can also make those changes on the partnership agreement and then sign it and send it back to us, and we'll contact you after we receive that to make sure that we have the correct information on file. So now we'll actually be going into the partnership agreement statements. And there are 3 sections in this area that you might have seen from previous drafts. And those sections really highlight the key areas of the work that we do together. The first section is focused on the 170E3, which is an IRS code that offers an enhanced tax deduction to donors that are donating inventory into the hunger relief system. And there are certain stipulations of how this product needs to be used, and we want to make sure that we can guarantee that to donors so that they continue to donate into the system. So these areas are very much connected to that top area on page 1 that talks about what the criteria are for how that product is distributed. The statements that you see on the screen are likely to be on page 2 of your agreement. And the first one is that food and products obtained from Second Harvest Heartland can only be distributed directly to partner agency clients through the partner program, and that volunteers or staff that qualify as clients can also receive food or products with a policy for that type of service recommended. For some of your programs, you allow food recipients to also volunteer at the same time while they're receiving food through your program. Some of your programs don't allow that to occur, and that would be a policy that that allowed you to be covered under this. And I think that for those of you that do allow food recipients to volunteer at the same time, it would be important to have that policy in writing so that there aren't perceived cherry picking or special privileges for some of the individuals you're serving. We have examples of those types of policies if you need those in writing, and you can contact your account specialist for more information. The second statement highlights 2 items around food and products obtained from Second Harvest Heartland. For those of you that also access food through Second Harvest Heartland administered food rescue relationships, that food is included in the food and products obtained from Second Harvest Heartland that is referenced in this agreement. Also, that food needs to be going out to clients that qualify for your program and should not be used for personal use of agency staff or volunteers that do not qualify as clients. Finally, the last statement on this slide is a new statement and a change from what was previously allowed under our partnership agreement. Only with prior approval from Second Harvest Heartland is a partner agency allowed to redistribute food or product to another Second Harvest Heartland partner agency to address instances of potential waste. So this means that it allows for food to be redistributed from one partner agency to another as long as there is prior approval and Second Harvest Heartland is included in that conversation. We are developing a policy and procedure for how this will operate in practice, and there are certain items that we have to track on our end for this to be allowed. But if you're interested in this option, I would encourage you to contact your account specialist so that they can talk you through the process and get you started so that this can be effective on the partnership agreement effective date of March 16th. The next two items are items also under the 170E3 section. The first one is a change. It says that at least 75% of the partner program's beneficiaries are low income. No more than 200% of the federal poverty guidelines are in crisis. This percentage should be determined by self-declared income or client intake forms, on client intake forms or annual client surveys. This is a change. Previously in the partnership agreement, this percentage was 51%. It has increased to 71% for two main reasons. One of those reasons is that it ensures that we're meeting the clause regarding our focus on serving the needy with the product that's distributed through Second Harvest and your partner programs. We felt that 51% was really too low of a threshold, and so the increase was moved to 75%. This also highlights a focus on serving those most in need and those who are most hungry in our communities. Regarding how this percentage is determined, many of you are doing this already, either by self-declared client intake forms or annual client surveys if it's at a meal program. If you have questions about how you can do this, please contact your account specialist, and we have many examples that you can utilize. The last item on this slide is in regards to site visits. Site visits is a current practice that we do at least every 2 years with your partner programs. And we wanted to make sure that we had some expectations around what is a reasonable time frame for scheduling those site visits and making sure that we could complete them. So now we're moving to the Second Harvest Heartland side of the 170E3 section expectations. If you were part of the listening sessions in the last summer, this side of the partnership agreement has been blank. And so really we want to thank you for your input on what was important to put on this side of the agreement. So this side for us really focuses on how we're sourcing product for you to access. The first statement is current practice with Second Harvest Heartland, that we will source donated food and product to provide to partner agencies, but we might choose to decline to not accept donated food if there are issues around quality to be distributed out to you, or if we have concerns about the ability to move that product for demand reasons. So if it doesn't seem like it's a product that partners have accessed in the past or has moved very quickly through our warehouse. The second statement is really focused on our interest to increase sourcing efforts for healthier and nutritious food for your programs. And that has been highlighted in our focus around produce and our focus on fresh food and wanting to increase the percentage of food that we offer in that area. The last item on this slide is something that we already provide for you, that we provide purchased product that you can access through our inventory list. But the second statement is something new that we will be implementing with this new partnership agreement. We will be requesting feedback from you twice a year to best meet your needs for the purchased product. We heard this through the listening sessions that you wanted to have a more clear way to provide feedback about what is on that purchased product list. And so we're interested in having that dialogue with you and making sure that we can best serve you. The next statement highlights our need to think about our whole service area. Often we have conversations about the food rescue resources and the food resources that are available throughout the 41 counties in Minnesota that Second Harvest Heartland serves and the 4 counties in Wisconsin. And while it's important that you all are very focused on your work in your communities, we often have to think about the wider Second Harvest area. And so we have a responsibility to work to as equitably as possible distribute resources to all of you that are serving families in need in your communities. The next statement highlights our responsibility in providing you with a timeline for site visits to make sure that you have enough time to schedule them, which is reasonable, and that we're very clear about what expectations we have for a site visit and support you in how to prepare so that it can be successful. If you have feedback on this process as we move into the new partnership agreement, please let us know, because we want to continually work on this process to make it very clear, transparent, and easy for you to participate in. The last item on this slide is a new expectation for Second Harvest Heartland, and that we will agree to be monitored by a randomly selected group of agency partner representatives on an annual basis. This will likely happen every spring, and so you all will have the opportunity of being selected to be a part of this site visit at Second Harvest Heartland, and we will be reporting that information back to all of our partners on how it went and what the results were from the site visit. Those are the items that I've highlighted under the 170E3 section. If you have other additional questions, as Katie mentioned, feel free to enter them into the question box here and we will respond to you after the webinar. Otherwise, feel free to contact your account specialist directly. So we're moving into the food safety section. And if you're looking at your partnership agreement, this starts at page 3. And food safety is really a very important part of our work as we're distributing food out to families, whether that be groceries or meals that we're providing. And we want to make sure that we can guarantee that we're keeping that food safe at all points along the distribution channel. So these items regarding the partner agency expectations are expectations that have currently been in place, but we wanted to clarify a little more clearly for you. The first item is focused on having internal thermometers in all fridge and freezer units. And so we are looking for internal thermometers even if you have an external readout on your fridge or freezer units. The second item is connected with that, in that temperatures need to be logged each day the facility is open, or at least once a week, whichever is more frequent, and temp logs should be kept for at least 1 year. So not only is it important to have those internal thermometers in your fridge and freezers, but we want to be able to guarantee that those fridge and freezers are staying at appropriate temperatures while you're storing product. And so those temperature logs allow you to guarantee that, to show that each day. And it's important that we can keep them for at least a year so that if we have to look back for something, we'll be able to look at it. The final item on this slide is connected with ensuring that there are appropriate precautions for safe transport of food or product. For some of you, you might be actually transporting some of the product from point A to point B. And that might take place in 3 different situations. It might be if you're picking up product at our east or west locations. It might be if you are transporting food between program locations under your agency, or if you're picking up food from a retail food rescue store. And so what's important in regards to safe transport is that if you are traveling up to 30 minutes, then you are able to use a freezer blanket or a cooler to ensure that that food is being kept safe, refrigerated or frozen foods are being kept safe, and that we want you to be checking temperatures when you pick up the food and when you deliver it to ensure that it's been safely transported. If you are traveling for more than 30 minutes, at that point you really would need to have a refrigerated truck to transport the food safely. Also related to food safety is the importance of having at least one staff or volunteer per partner program trained in food safety. We have multiple options for what that food safety training can look like for your staff, and so please contact your account specialist if you have questions about that. And it would be important for you to think through who would be the best person to be trained within your program, so that it's someone connected with food distribution, food storage, and food prep, and thinking about who is engaged in those areas that are relevant to your programming. The other item regarding this statement is that compliance will be reviewed at each site visit. And so what we will be looking for at each site visit is a certificate or proof that this individual has gone through food safety training. Typically, if the individual is doing something online or is doing something that Second Harvest Heartland has recorded and offered, there will be a paper certificate or confirmation that you went through that training. The last item on this slide is actually current practice that we ask that at least 2 staff or volunteers be identified to respond to recalls if and when they occur and implement any instructions provided by Second Harvest Heartland. So this is something we ask of your program when we do the site visit. We ask that you can identify 2 staff or volunteers and their contact information that we can call or email if a recall is occurring on product that you received from us. So that would be product that is actually on the inventory list and that you ordered for delivery or pickup. So, of course, part of the food safety end of things is ensuring that Second Harvest Heartland is meeting our expectations in terms of safe storage and transport, and that you can trust that from us. So these are some items that are already in practice on our end, but we wanted to make sure that we're transparent about them and clear about what we're doing. Temperatures are also logged in our facility, so it's logged twice a day each day that we're open, and temp logs are kept for at least 1 year. We are also monitored by multiple outside organizations. We're monitored on an annual basis by an outside third party that is called AIB, and they monitor both our location in Maplewood as well as our location in Golden Valley. We also have regular inspections from public state agencies and Feeding America. The last statement on here is that we also inspect all product as we receive it into our warehouse for quality and safety. And so if we are concerned about the safety of the product or the quality of the product, we would actually choose not to accept it at that time. The next items are also largely in practice. We will ensure safe transport of food or product delivered to you. We will also consistently provide additional information for items on the inventory list when the shelf life best buy date has been extended. And we are working to further develop exactly what that looks like and make sure that we can implement that consistently and give you some guidance about when you would see that on product that you might order off the inventory list. We will ensure that the appropriate staff at Second Harvest are trained on food safety. That includes the agency relations staff at Second Harvest. And we will respond to all recalls on food or product distributed through our warehouse within 1 business day. So we are moving on to the third and final section of the partnership agreement statements. And this is really partnership expectations that we have for each other in the work that we do. This is on page 4 of the partnership agreement. So the first statement is really connected with the importance that we place on equal access and non-discrimination to individuals that need food resources. And so that we want to ensure that these individuals are not denied access to donated food or product and food resources within our service area. To make sure that we can work towards ensuring that, we're asking each partner program to have at least one staff or volunteer a civil rights training. It is an online training that is roughly about 45 minutes long, and that they would be responsible for training frontline volunteers and staff on an annual basis. So, and that training of frontline volunteers and staff can be as easy as walking through a checklist and having them sign. So we'll be looking for this when we go out for a site visit, but we will provide you with all the tools to make sure that you can have this happen within your program. The next statement is focusing on the importance of not seeing political or religious activities as an expectation or perceived expectation to receive food. We know that many of you who partner with us and distribute food to the community are faith communities and are connected to a religious mission of why you do the work that you do. But we also want to make sure that clients don't feel like they have to participate in that to access food resources. And so if you have questions about how that works in reality for your program, we have some examples of programs that have been able to do that quite well in how they distribute food or how they provide meals to families. The next items, well, the first item on this slide around partner agency expectations is still in the programming area of this section. And it's that the partner agency will provide a specific and continuous food program, so at least 9 months of the year, unless a summer distribution program, to the community in the form of meals or groceries to clients. So the importance of this statement for Second Harvest is that we really are interested in focusing our resources on ongoing programming to the community so that individuals who are hungry have consistent food resources throughout the year. So programs that would be acceptable under this statement would be monthly or weekly food distributions, backpack programs. Also, of course, many of you have programs that are operating multiple days a week and distributing food or making meals on an ongoing basis. The next 3 items are focused under the ordering and delivery pickup area of this section, which is likely moving to page 5 of your partnership agreement. The first item is that we ask that partners will utilize partnership on a regular basis by accessing food at least once per quarter in each calendar year from Second Harvest. So accessing that food can come in multiple ways. It might be through shopping at our agency shopping location at Maplewood. It might be through a food rescue connection and accessing food rescue food through a direct store pickup, or it might be ordering products through our inventory list. So there are multiple ways that you can meet this expectation around accessing food at least once per quarter, so that you would access food at least every 3 months. The next item is slightly separate from that, and that the minimum order poundage for pickup and delivery will be 500 pounds. This is an increase from what it has previously been, and we know that we've had a lot of very good conversations and you've provided a lot of feedback around this particular item through the listening sessions and through the subsequent drafts. Second Harvest Heartland really feels that increasing to this 500 pounds is important to really streamline our process and make sure that we're managing costs for the entire food system. And so we want to work with you and support you in problem solving how you can get to this 500 pounds if you're concerned about that option. I would encourage you to contact your account specialist so that we can start strategizing with you right away about how we can meet this going forward. 500 pounds, depending on what you order, is roughly half a pallet. And so if that helps give kind of a mental image for how much that means. The last item in this area is something that is currently in practice and that we just want to reinforce with all of you, is that we ask that once you receive an order, either through pickup or delivery, that you look through the shipping paperwork and you ensure that it's accurate with what you received. And if there are any discrepancies, that you report it to us within 3 business days. That ensures that we can make a credit to your account if that's applicable, and that we can adjust our inventory if we need to do that. The next 2 items are under the financial area of this section, and we just wanted to highlight when invoices are due. And so this expectation is currently what is in place. It is not a change, but we want to make sure that you all are aware that invoices are to be paid at the end of the 2nd month following the month in which the invoice is dated. And that if there are overdue amounts on your account, our system automatically does put your account on hold until they're paid. And so if that would ever be the case for your program, please contact your account specialist so we can assist you in resolving that. The next item on this slide is focused on how we provide risk management for the work that we do. And this is also on the Second Harvest expectation side as well, so that if either of us request, we will actually share information about our business insurance with each other. This is something that we will likely be talking more about as we move into this partnership agreement being effective in later in March. And so we want to make sure that we really are thinking about all of those areas of risk management that is important to our work, so that if anything would ever happen, we are prepared for it. And so please expect to see more information from Second Harvest regarding this, so that we can provide you with additional information if you have questions about what that insurance may need to look like, or what you might need to have covered, or what are some suggestions that we can provide. The next area of the partnership agreement is focused on stats reporting. This is also nothing new. This is what has been currently in place and a current expectation for partner agencies and programs. And so we ask that monthly statistics be submitted by the 10th of the following month. If you have a food rescue relationship where you pick up from a store, this is also when food rescue stats are due. But it is important to note that the second statement, or the second paragraph on this slide, is that if there is non-compliance with this, you will be placed on product hold. This is also something that happens automatically in our system, and so if you have questions or you would need assistance in resolving it, please contact your account specialist. But that partner programs missing 3 months of statistics or more may have their account with Second Harvest Heartland inactivated. We really see that our responsibility is going to be reaching out to programs who might be having this issue. Often this might happen if there's a staff transition or something that is occurring within the program that we want to support the program through anyway. So know that we will be providing as much support as possible to ensure that statistics are being reported, and reported in a timely way. Finally, this last slide focuses on the terms of partnership area, and this really highlights that Second Harvest Heartland feels very strongly that these are all important expectations in the partnership agreement to us and really to the overall hunger relief system. And so if there is an issue that would rise to a high level of noncompliance, we might proceed with either suspending or terminating a relationship or moving into a probationary period. I think what's really important for you all to know is that Second Harvest Heartland and really the agency relations team specifically sees our role as supporting the work that you do, providing you with tools and resources so that you can successfully be in compliance with this partnership agreement, and that we would never even have to explore these items in the terms of partnership. In regards to the second section on this slide, we want to have a conversation with partners around chronic noncompliance. So chronic noncompliance is when a partner agency is found to be noncompliant, might address that issue and then is found to be noncompliant again. So there are some areas that we notice might have themes in terms of challenges to compliance, and so we want to make sure that we're working with you to support you in consistently addressing that compliance issue and making sure that that we understand the value of that going forward. This is also something that we see it as our role to help support you in ensuring that that we don't have instances of chronic noncompliance, and so so we will be communicating with you and talking with you about where those areas might be if we have concerns. So moving to the Second Harvest Heartland portion of the partnership expectations. This is moving back to page 4 to start at the top of that. And we will be focusing on the area of programming to start off with. So this is another area where we're highlighting our need and our obligation to Feeding America, and really those in need of working towards equitable distribution of resources across the Second Harvest service area. And so we actually are evaluated on a quarterly basis about the amount of need in each of the counties within our service area and the amount of food that's being distributed in those counties and whether we're meeting the needs sufficiently as Feeding America defines it. The next item is that if your primary Second Harvest Heartland agency relations contact changes, so if your account specialist changes, that the new contact is required to schedule an in-person or phone visit with you within 6 months of assuming the role. And really this is highlighting that we feel it's very important to have strong relationships with you, and that those relationships are built on actually having face-to-face or intentional phone time to talk about your programming. And so if there would be a staff change in the future and your account specialist would change, we want to intentionally make sure that we can connect with you and make sure that you know who your contact is. The last item on this slide is moving into the ordering and delivery pickup area. And we want to highlight that we are happy to provide to-your-door delivery to your partner agency's designated delivery address, but that we're unable to help depalletizing of food or product if you have a smaller entry point that doesn't allow a pallet to go through. So many of our drivers are very personable, and we hear from you that that they really are fabulous staff. But we want to highlight that as we're thinking about our partners and delivery across our service area, that we aren't able to depalletize the product. The next items are really highlighting some expectations that we will be moving forward with and reporting back to you. And so it is important that, that we're able to show that we're making progress in these areas and respond to issues that might occur. And so we will be reporting back to you on our overall inventory trends and order accuracy. Part of that will include our our inventory accuracy through monthly internal audits. These are already in place, but we'll be implementing or adding that into our overall accuracy report to you as well. And then we are going to be monitoring on-time delivery of orders within the delivery window specified. If you have questions about what your general delivery window is, I would encourage you to reach out to your account specialist. And then you also receive a confirmation of when to expect the delivery. And so we'll be monitoring our on-time deliveries and reporting that back to you. And then we will be confirming that we will contact your partner program if the delivery is anticipated to be over an hour earlier or later than the estimated delivery time. The next two items are under the financial portion of our expectations. We will provide 90 days, at least 90 days written notice to any increases in delivery fees and handling fees or shared maintenance fees. And we understand that any change that can occur in shared maintenance has a significant impact on all of you and the budgets that you have and the food that you provide to families. And so we want to ensure that we're providing a certain amount of time at least notice if that would happen in the future. Along with that, we will not assess handling fees or shared maintenance or delivery fees in excess of what Feeding America allows. So Feeding America actually has a cap on what can be assessed, and so we ensure that we will be within that. The current maximum in terms of shared maintenance is 19 cents a pound. So now we've moved through those three main sections of the partnership agreement, and the last portion is a liability release. This is previous language that Second Harvest Heartland has used in the past. It's just pulled out in a slightly different way in this version of the partnership agreement. Also, the language is partially determined by our contract with Feeding America, which is why you'll see Feeding America referenced in some of the statements. If you have specific additional questions about the liability release, I would encourage you to contact me directly, and my contact information or my phone number is listed on this slide. Finally, just to highlight the renewal process and timeline. This partnership agreement goes into effect on Monday, March 16th, and so we're hoping that you can return the signed agreement by that time. If you need additional time, so if there are additional processes that you have to go through within your organization to have it signed, and it might be more time consuming than that allows, please be in touch with your account specialist. The other item just to highlight in regards to the end of the partnership agreement is the signature area, and we're asking for the signature of your agency director or executive director to sign and date on that, and we're just asking for one signature from your partner agency. If you have questions about who that should be, please contact your account specialist. The second signature that is at the end of the partnership agreement is the signature of the food bank representative, and that is actually going to be signed by our Director of Field Services at Second Harvest Heartland. And so once we receive your signed version back, we will sign it on our end and then send it back to you electronically so that you can keep it in your files. And then in the future, Second Harvest will renew partnership agreements every 2 years on even years. So, so this process got shifted a little bit. It was initially going to be in the fall of last year, and so we will expect to renew the partnership agreement in the fall of 2016. Finally, as I shared in the beginning and really throughout this presentation, we want to work with you to support support you in meeting these expectations in the partnership agreement if you have concerns about them. So please reach out to your account specialist, to the agency relations team to talk through those areas where you need extra support. We're working on some additional documentation for these continuing and new expectations so that we can provide templates out to you and tools for you to use. Also, as the agreement goes into effect, we'll be reaching out to those of you that might have specific challenges around the updated minimum poundage requirements so that we can help strategize how to meet them going forward and what that could look like. So if you're unsure of who your account specialist is on the agency relations team, here's an overview of the area that each account specialist typically serves. If you have questions or if you're still unsure who your account specialist is, feel free to contact me directly, and I'm listed on the bottom there as the agency relations manager. Finally, we want to thank you for joining us for this webinar today. As we noted earlier, if there are questions that you've listed throughout the presentation that we didn't fully answer, we will respond to them after the presentation, either with a direct phone call or an email to chat with you directly. And we look forward to working with you through this renewal and then moving into the effective partnership agreement date. Thank you.